Hello, and welcome to the Neurodivergent Spiral of Life introduction for the year 2026. Happy New Year to you all. My name is Barbara Lazarony. I go by the name of Blaze. That's my nickname, so I'd love for you to use it if it feels comfortable. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist in the state of California. In the neurodivergent spiral of life is something I created and is the basis of all my work going forward. I'll share more about that as we go through this presentation today. Okay, so let's get started. Have you ever had that feeling where it seems like you've made a lot of progress and then all of a sudden you're right back in something you thought you'd already moved through? Well, today I want to talk about an idea that completely reframes this experience, especially if you're neurodivergent. It's called the neurodivergent spiral of life. It's going to challenge the idea that healing is supposed to be a straight line. So let's start with something that's probably very familiar. That incredible, frustrating feeling that you've somehow ended up back where you started. You've done the work, you've been in therapy, you've learned the tools, you've built awareness, and then suddenly an old trigger shows up. An old pattern kicks back in, and you're left thinking, why am I here again? It can feel deeply discouraging. And this is where I want to be very clear. You are not failing. What feels like a big step backward is not what it looks like. It's actually a completely different kind of healing process. But to understand why this happens, we have to talk about the model most of us were taught to use to measure our own personal growth and healing. And let's look at the idea of why healing as a straight line sets so many people up to feel like they're doing something wrong, especially if you have a non-linear nervous system. If you're neurodivergent, like me, my hand's raised right now. Culturally, we've been sold a very clean story. You identify a problem, you process it, you fix it, and then you move on, right? Not when it comes to a nervous system for a human that's neurodivergent. That is not how it works. For us, growth is messy. It loops, it revisits, it includes good days and bad days and pauses and breakthroughs. And for neurodivergent people in particular, a linear model completely misses the reality of lived experiences, like sensory differences, like years of masking, like cycles of overwhelm and shutdown. None of that fits neatly into a straight path forward. And this is the part I want you to hear. The problem isn't you, it's the framework. And this is why most linear models of healing fail you. When a non-linear nervous system is forced into a linear model, the most common result is self-blame. This is one of the topics I work with clients on: self-blame, guilt, shame. Our culture has constantly told us that we're bad or wrong or broken, and we think it's our fault. It's not. So, if a straight line healing isn't the answer, what is? This is where I want to introduce a different way of understanding growth, personal healing through life, one that's more compassionate and honestly far more accurate. This is the neurodivergent spiral of life, a model developed by me. Instead of seeing personal growth and healing as something you climb like a ladder once and then you finish, the spiral actually recognizes that we revisit the same core themes again and again, like safety and regulation and self understanding and connection especially in our relationships with our partners, our family members, our kiddos, and even at work. Again and again, we revisit this neurodivergent spiral of life. And this is where something really begins to click into place. The linear model that we were taught actually has us questioning, how far am I away from this issue? Okay, how far am I away? When am I going to fix this? When am I going to fix it? When is it going to be over? When can I get past, jump through this problem? Oof, in the spiral, we ask a totally different question. And this question is, how has my relationship changed? How is my relationship to this issue, to this problem, whatever it is? How has my relationship changed? This one simple shift completely changes how we understand progress. So, in practical terms, it means that when something shows up again, you're not back at square one. You're actually meeting it from a different space in the spiral, with more awareness, with more tools, and more capacity than you had before. And one of the metaphors I love to use with my clients is going up the spiral is kind of like riding in an elevator from floor 1 to 7. When you're up at floor 4, it's not like you suddenly drop through the ground and you have to start all over again. No, that's not what it is. It's that you come back maybe to floor 1 again, and the next time you maybe be at floor 3, and then you go up to floor 7, and then you come back down to floor 2. That's what it's like in this spiral. So what does this really look like in real life? It's actually much more subtle than you would expect. Progress is not about feeling never anxious again. It's not about never shutting down again. Actually, it looks like noticing that maybe you're overloaded a little bit less. Maybe you're recovering a little bit faster. Maybe you're setting boundaries with less shame. Perhaps you're needing support, and allowing yourself to ask for it and then to accept it when it shows up. These are not small changes, they are significant nervous system shifts. So let me give you a quick example. And this is about one of my clients, and all of my clients are fictitious, just so I can create confidentiality. So this client's name is Emily. So Emily came to me and she felt really devastated after experiencing a shutdown during a stressful period of her life. Despite years of going through therapy, she thought she shouldn't have to experience this again. To her, it felt like proof that nothing had changed, that she was a failure, that she hadn't done it right. All those self sabotaging stories showed up again. However, when we slowed all this down and we really looked at what happened, the difference was clear. This time, Emily recognized the signs sooner. She created the opportunity to communicate her limits. She didn't apologize for needing rest. She asked for time off. Yeah, sure, her nervous system still needed recovery. However, her relationship, it's an important word, her relationship to the situation had changed. That wasn't regression. She suddenly didn't become a small child again of 3 or 4 and have her temper tantrum that she didn't get her way. It wasn't regression. It was actually movement on the upward spiral. Did she have to come down the spiral and look at a few things to do this? Of course. And then she went right back up by setting those boundaries. So, how do we start living from this spiral? We've got to apply a totally different mindset. Yes, a totally different mindset. And the first thing as a neurodivergent person is we have to release the invisible deadline. The idea that you should be over this by now, that shouldn't be happening again to you, that you're a failure, that the proverbial shoe has just dropped again, you have such bad luck, all of those stories we tell ourselves. Healing actually happens in nervous system time, not according to a schedule. Nervous system time. So next time you notice these thoughts of I'm back here again, I want you to pause and ask yourself these 3 questions. First, what feels familiar right now? Did this happen to me sometime in the past? Was it yesterday, last week, a year ago, many years ago? What is familiar? How am I meeting it differently than before is question number 2. We're always at different places in our life. So who are we as we meet this? How am I meeting this? And the last question, this one's really important. What support do I have now that I didn't then? It's really critical that if you don't have support, it's time to start reaching out for support. As a therapist in the state of California and working as a coach worldwide, I'd love to help support you. You don't have to go through this process alone. Because if you have all 3 of these things and you can ask yourself these questions, this simple shift moves you out of judgment. And judgment is one of those things that is just, it is so tough for our nervous system to be judging ourselves and others because we typically do it quite harshly. Instead, where we land is in a place of curiosity. So it's more curiosity, just feels like, to me, it's the space of wonder of what is going to happen. I'm curious. I don't know. Show me what's next. This shift from judgment into curiosity is growth. So the spiral is not about going forward versus backward. It's about returning to something with more wisdom than you had it the first time you were there. So it's the growth. There's a return with a difference. Yes. And so as we wrap up today, and as I wrap up the basis of this neurodivergent spiral of healing and why and neurodivergent spiral of life and healing and why I created it, this is the core idea I want to leave you with. The goal is not to reach a place where nothing never comes up again, because it's not true. That's not what's going to happen. However, and I don't really like the word goal, I prefer the word intention. A goal feels harsh and hard to me. Intention, it brings a bit more curiosity. I intend to do this. And I also believe in the process of, I'll use the word magic, mystery that shows up. So my intention is to become more skilled and a more compassionate traveler with our own nervous system. Yep, starts right there on the lowest level of the spiral, which is safety and security. So when something returns, it often means you're ready for the next chapter on how this is going to look. Real growth doesn't erase your past. It transforms it and your relationship to it. So what we're looking at is how are we in relationships to the things that happen to us. And that, my friends, that is the heart and soul of spiral life and healing. And I want to thank you today for watching, for listening. If you'd like to reach out to me, please feel free to do so. You can read more of my blog posts, listen to my podcast on my website at loveontheautismspectrum.com. You can also listen to my podcasts on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and again on my website. And you can read my blog post as well on my website. If you want to reach out to me, please feel free to send me an email. I read all of my email personally. Blaze at blazelazarony.com. And if you'd like to learn more about setting up what I call a clarity and connection call, which is the opportunity to speak with me privately about how we could possibly do that, all of that information is also on my website. And again, I want to thank you today for watching, and I look forward to seeing you more in the future. Take care. Be well. Bye now.